Let's get over to Claire Vane. She's the Managing Director at Integrated Resources. She's an HR and search consultant with particular expertise in European search, resourcing, performance improvement and management, HR operations, process engineering, strategy execution, and HR transformation through organisation, restructuring and coaching. Crikey, Claire, I'm nearly out of breath after your experience. And just a last point, she's an MA from Cambridge and a variety of coaching qualifications, and she's also a semi-professional pianist, raising money for charities. Claire, over to you to tell us about releasing potential, improving performance and inspiring growth.
Martin, thank you. That was very flattering. We are a team of 10, so that covers all of us. You've allowed me to talk about my very favourite topic, which is about releasing potential to improve performance and inspire growth. There is nothing I like talking about as much as this. And I think we're all on a journey. It sounds a bit trite, but the organisation definitely that we work for is on a journey. And we also have a personal journey. We call that our career. We're on a journey, we need a map, and we always need a map, unless of course we're going to Barnard Castle, we all know where that is. And we need a vehicle to get there. Now, Sean talked about strategy and vision. I'm going to talk more about vehicles. I think we have a dual responsibility too. We're on two journeys, an organisational journey and a personal one, but the responsibility for that journey lies with both. And when that balance goes wrong, we're in trouble. The first thing I think is critical, which Sean touched on, is about values. We all like to belong to a team. I don't know whether you have memories of school, of being chosen for a team, and you're holding your breath thinking, am I going to get onto the netball team? Who's going to select me? And we need to feel a sense of belonging. It's no different in an organisation. At exit interviews, we hear the same thing in different words. I don't feel I belong. I don't feel I'm valued. Oh, and by the way, the communication's rubbish. Those are the themes that come through an exit interview in every single sector. So the first question I would ask you is, what's your sense of belonging like? Both from you, the employee, but also you as the employer. Do you know what your employee's sense of belonging? There's a very interested fly here who's decided to join the seminar. Fit is very, very easy to forget. Recruiters, I'm not criticising you, Stuart, look for technical competencies, and they're so busy looking for technical competencies, whether they're internal recruitment or out-of-house recruiters, that they forget about the fit. Fit is equally, if not more important. But how do we get there? It all starts with values. If we look at the slide, you can see that an individual has personal values. An individual has a right to those values. And in turn, those values drive our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs, which in turn drive the way we behave. In an organisation, we have organisational values. I hope we do. If we don't, we should define them. And we have a vision, we have a strategy, and the values of the organisation underpin the strategy, and that strategy in turn drives the day-to-day operations. So if we are going to be winning teams with a sense of belonging and drive potential and performance, we need to have absolute congruence when we recruit, when we retain, and when we performance manage individuals. So values are the starting point. So if you don't have values corporately, have a look, see what they are. Know your vision. Every leader needs a vision. And you also need to understand your own personal values, which maybe one hasn't thought about to the same extent. If I can move on, please. Cynthia. Thank you. What we're seeing at the moment in the pandemic is exaggerated behaviour of what is normally the case. We've got the laissez-faire leader who is a bit of an introvert, doesn't like walking the floors. He can hide behind, or she can hide behind, the pandemic and behind remote working. We're also seeing the controlling manager becoming even more controlling. So what we're seeing is an exaggeration of what already is. And that's At the same time that the stakes are becoming higher, we are in the middle of, I think, 5 restructures at the moment, and this has just started to happen in the last 2 weeks. So the stakes have gone up. There's an exaggerated version of everything, and we are seeing more extremes within leadership. But what we need to talk about a lot more about is behaviours. We're busy looking for technical competencies, but we're not thinking about fit. If we haven't got a language for talking about behaviours, how can we talk about poor performance, bad behaviour? So to join up recruitment, performance management and retention, we need what the textbooks grandly call a competency architecture. That simply means a set of behaviours, and that will join up recruitment and performance management and help you make sure that the organisation is also fit for purpose. And having a language gets us across the difficulty of challenging negative behaviour. So my second proposition is have a competency framework, a set of behaviours that are articulated. If I can move on, Sean talked about teamsmanship. Being a team is critical to making an organisation work better, to release potential. What's the difference between a team and a group? A group is a random group of people, sometimes brought together for a purpose, and they then become a team. A team has a common purpose and is heading in the same direction. These dogs look terribly hungry, but I think they're just excited. It's worth testing whether the team is really a team regularly, not just at the start of a project. Does it have a common purpose? Are you communicating enough? Is there a mechanism, even in remote working, where you can brainstorm more? There are mechanisms for doing this, but is it really the case in your organisation? If not, it's affecting the employees and also the output by the whole employer. Online working is doubtless going to continue, maybe at a higher percentage than before the pandemic, and there are pros and cons. There's also the level of alertness. I haven't worked out what alert is, but Boris talks about it a lot. This high level of alertness is never going to leave us, and the place of the team goes higher up in the employer's priority list, in my view. When we work remotely, our team roles are also exaggerated, and so it's worth looking at the contingent parts of the team. Cynthia, next slide, please. There is a problem-solving cycle that we all are involved with every single minute of the day, and it happens so often that we're not even aware of it. Let me take an example. You get up in the morning and you decide you want breakfast. If you're naughty, you skip breakfast. The same applies for lunch. The same applies with what you're going to wear for the day. You look at the options. You evaluate the options. You look at the weather and you think, it's a bit chilly today, I think I'll have some porridge. You then make a decision and you think, yeah, I'll make the porridge, and then you eat it. And this is the problem-solving cycle. And we are educated and trained to solve problems. It doesn't matter how small it is or if you're running a business. The first thing is look at the options, evaluate the options, make a decision and implement. So if we're going to make our teams work, we need not a room full of evaluators, not a room full of creatives, not a room full of high energy people who are bouncing around the room, nor a room full of very detail orientated people. In any case, we have paralysis if we don't make the perfect team out of a set of different competencies, both technical and also behavioural skills and attributes. We need to use whatever tools we have. So we do have some tools. And the elements I hear about psychometric profiling is still a high level of ignorance. Isometrics, psychometrics, what are you talking about? I heard a client say the other day. There are some marvelous tools on the market that are not expensive, that can reduce your gamble, both in terms of recruitment and in terms of assessment and in terms of promotion. We need to know what people's derailers are, and we need to help individuals assess themselves. There is nothing as enduring as the Socratic maxim, know thyself. If you don't know yourself, you haven't got much hope of understanding the rest of your team. Do you know yourself enough to be really self-aware and emotionally intelligent? And do you know your impact on others? If we use a tool like Lumina Spark or Hogan, we can see people's upsides. We can see their derailers. We can also use tools to assess values and even recruit and use them in recruitment so that we reduce the gamble. We can also use them to review the dreaded appraisal scheme so that it becomes modern, online, dynamic, and actually something enjoyed. That sounds a bit far-fetched, but it can be done. So we need to know the strengths of the team, the weaknesses of the team, and the holes. So in summary, I would say if you want to release your potential, your own potential, the potential of the organisation you work in, and improve performance and inspire growth, do your employment values for the organisation chime with those of the individuals? Do you probe and test for them? What will the pandemic have changed? Is it time possibly to reshape the organisation? And this is the moment to do it. Are your teams really teams? Are they fit for purpose now in the new era? And how can you make them be composed more effectively? So consider the components of your team too. Raise self-awareness, increase self-knowledge, and your understanding of your leaders and managers and the teams they lead. And walk the talk and talk the talk. There is no substitute for communication. Thank you.